So welcome everybody. I'm so glad you guys could join us. Happy Friday, happy holidays. I'm so excited to have Chris with us today. He is a pro at so many different things. It's hard for me to even keep up, but he's going to just touch on Google Ads and kind of maybe some tips and well, he can tell you all about it. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for jumping on. Gonna give you guys kind of like a high level 30,000 foot view kind of overview, and then I can dig into some more tactical stuff. I think we have like an hour, right, Kenzie? Okay, so I'm gonna try to I'll try to wrap up in like 45 minutes, give people some time for Q&A and stuff at the end. If you have a question, feel free to throw it in the chat and I can get to it towards the end. Today we're talking about obviously Google Ads and how that might be able to help your agency generate, some additional traffic, additional leads, which obviously is going to translate into clients if you're doing things the right way. A lot of you are probably, you know a little bit about Google Ads, but maybe you haven't done any kind of deep dive into it and really know like the integral, back end components and all the things that you need to be doing to actually run successful campaigns. But I'm going to touch on also SEO, right? Because a lot of you are, probably know what SEO means. You know that that's kind of an important component of driving traffic to your websites, generating leads, etc. So I'm going to give you kind of a high level overview of SEO versus pay-per-click, or Google Ads. I'm going to refer to it as pay-per-click kind of as we go through this as well. But just so you guys kind of understand the key differences, but also the similarities and the pros and cons, because a lot of people, if you read the internet and you read in these Facebook groups and stuff, a lot of people think that SEO is like the only way to drive traffic, right? That's the only thing that you should be concerned with. People want to always know how they can, optimize their website and create content and do all these things. The reality is pay-per-click and SEO really have the exact same objective, which is to be at the highest possible place in Google search for various keyword searches, right? Google, being a search engine, is completely driven by keywords. So when you type in a keyword, which by the way, a keyword is not just one word, it could be a phrase, right? You type in a keyword to Google, Google's job is to find you the most relevant result based on what they think you are searching for. There's a lot of other things that go into SEO and pay-per-click. Google actually uses your location, so they're trying to return the most relevant localized results. So if you're searching for an insurance agency in, let's say, Houston, Texas, insurance agencies that are located in Dallas, Texas are not going to show up in that search result because Google sees that the person searching is from Houston. They're trying to show local results, so they're going to show agencies that are physically located in Houston. Now, if you're running ads, if you're running Google Ads, you do have the opportunity to show up in that search because you can actually expand where your ad is running to different locations. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. I'm going to share my screen real quick and just kind of go through some of the pros and cons here. Again, this is kind of like a 30,000 foot view, and we'll dig into some more tactical stuff like keyword research and some other stuff here. I don't know if it looks like I might be blocked from sharing my screen, Kenzie. I'm not sure if you have.
I don't know why I did that. You're a host. It's so weird.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good. Now. Okay, cool. Yep. So share my desktop here. So you might think after I go through this that I'm an SEO hater, and I'm not. SEO is definitely very important. It's something that is always going to help you if you do it the right way. But I am going to paint a very realistic picture of SEO and pay-per-click. I've been doing this now for over 10 years in the insurance space, and that's not to be braggadocious or anything like that, but I've seen a lot of different things. And SEO is constantly changing. Google's changing, different metrics, and they're changing the way that they rank sites all the time, or at least that's what they want you to believe. So let's talk about SEO real quick, and you'll see by the end how I kind of wrap this all together. As I just mentioned, SEO is comprised of...
Hey, Chris,
yes.
Before you get going, can you expand your, can you push the maximize button on that screen? Because it's showing me kind of a...
Yes, good idea. Right here?
Yeah, there we go. Now I can read it. I'm old.
Awesome. No, that's a good point. I didn't think to do that. Sorry about that. So a lot of things go into SEO, right? It's not just getting Google reviews, right? Or blogging. And if you read a lot of, SEO websites and blogs and stuff, and you listen to people, they think that it's just Google reviews. Like, everybody's on this rampage to get as many Google reviews as they can possibly get. And that is a part of the equation, okay? It's not the entire equation. It's probably 10% max of the SEO equation, right? And it's not just about blogging. There's a lot of different things that go in. It's website quality, it's backlinks, it's interlinking on your website, it's schema, it's core web vitals optimization. There's a million different things that go into it outside of just getting reviews and blogging, and that really need to be sort of like in alignment and firing on all cylinders for it to work. SEO, as you know, is content driven and backlink driven. It really does require really, really strong and unique content. You also need to have backlinks. In other words, you need to have other websites linking from their website over to your website. That's what's called a backlink. And no matter what Google tells you about all these other, ranking factors, to this day, backlinks are still the most important component of ranking organically in search. I've seen.
And when you say that, I'm going to interrupt you real quick, because this is an opportunity, I think, for people to really see how, like, an example of how that could be done.
Yep.
I talk to people all the time about referral partnerships. So a referral partner's website could be a good backlink, I would say, wouldn't you, Chris? Like,
yes,
both of the websites having each other's links on there.
Correct. Yep. No, it's a good point. And the other thing to mention on that is that Google looks at the authority of the domain that's linking to your site. So a backlink from, Johnny's auto body website compared to a backlink from Forbes.com are very different. It's not that the backlink from the auto body website is bad. It's not. It's good. The more you can get, the better. But an authoritative backlink from a bigger website that's got a bigger clout in Google search is going to pass more SEO value to your site. And I'm not gonna even sugarcoat it. It's very difficult to generate backlinks. You can actually buy them from different backlink providers. You have to be careful with that. Sometimes they can actually be spam and they could actually damage your website. But building backlinks is very difficult, and again, it requires content. The issue that a lot of you are facing in your business, and I know because I talk to agency owners multiple times a week, is a lot of you don't have the team, you don't have the time yourself to create content, right? There's a lot of tools that have come into the space now, ChatGPT. There's a million AI tools now that will concoct decent content that you still have to proofread and probably fix some things because it's not always 100% accurate, but it's getting a little bit easier, but it's still work to create the content necessary to actually, be worthy of a backlink from another website. So the bottom line is it encompasses many different things. And a lot of people sort of in their mind think, SEO is like you're trying to get free traffic. You're doing all this work so that you eventually get traffic from search results. And that is partially true, but to actually do it the right way, most of you would have to hire an outside marketing agency, right? So there's a cost associated with SEO that a lot of people seem to kind of forget. There's a cost associated with PPC and Google Ads as well. And I'll tie that bow in just a second. The other thing too is SEO takes a long time, depending on the keywords that you're trying to rank for. And it might not work for you at all, depending on what industry you're in. Now, obviously, most of the people on the call are insurance brokers. Insurance is a very competitive, saturated industry / topic in Google search. There's a lot of insurance companies, a lot of the bigger insurance companies, the Geicos, Progressives, Allstates, right? These companies have dedicated, digital marketing teams that are monitoring, thousands of keywords in Google search. And they're doing their best also to obviously bid on those keywords to run paid ads. A lot of the bigger companies, you're not finding them in Google because of their blog articles, right? You're finding them from ads that they're running in search. So SEO sometimes may not work depending on what niche you're in, what vertical you're in. I've seen really strong websites that have a lot of good content that actually have good backlinks, and they're still not ranking in the top 5 results when people are searching for the keywords in Google. So it's a grind. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes money, and it's really, at the end of the day, regardless of what you may hear online, and you can go read 1 million SEO blogs and websites, it's not the only way to generate traffic. In fact, what we tell our clients a lot of the times is it should be the last thing you're worried about. And you'll understand by the end of this why I say that. I say that because it's time and money that a lot of business owners don't have, and it's a long play. It's not something that's going to bear fruit immediately. It's like planting a crop, right? It's a lot of labor up front, and you're not gonna see results for quite a while. It's almost like investing into the stock market, right? You put $10,000 into the stock market, you're not gonna see $50,000 for several more years, right? Especially if the market tanks or whatever. All of that being said, SEO is still a viable way to drive traffic. It still works. It's time and money. It's work that a lot of people don't have the time to do, right? We'll talk about pay-per-click. The benefits of pay-per-click compared to traditional organic search. It can help you compete with larger brands. You may not have the ability to outrank Allstate or State Farm in a local search based on the keyword car insurance or auto insurance with your blog or your website, right? It's very difficult to do that, but you can run ads, and your ads can show at the top of Google along with their ads. It gives you a way to compete with larger brands online, more so than search engine optimization. It also works way faster. You can fire up an ad campaign today, and you can start seeing viable traffic within 48 hours if it's set up correctly, right? The other benefit.
I wanted to add one thing. This is, guys, where we've talked in the past about niche markets in insurance. This is where a niche can come into play, because the more specific you get, right, Chris, the more chance you'll have of that ad showing up and being a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. I'll talk through that as well. But yes, the one big thing too is like most independent insurance agencies are not doing any advertising, much less doing Google ads. Most agencies are referral driven. That's not a bad thing, by the way. I think it's awesome. If you can get free referrals that end up turning into customers and you don't have to buy ads, that's a great thing. But the reality is, like, pay-per-click can supplement or augment your referrals. And the good thing is that a lot of agencies are not doing it. So it's a very low-hanging fruit, in my opinion. And it's a competitive advantage that you would have almost immediately. We tell people, look, you don't need to go into this trying to compete with Allstate, but if you do a little bit more than the other independent agencies in your market, you're going to show up in Google search above them almost every time. And I'm sure a lot of you see this, right? If you look and you search in Google right now for insurance agency near me, you're going to find agencies that have 4 Google reviews, right? You're going to click over to their website, and their website's going to be pretty bad. So there's a lot of small businesses and a lot of insurance agencies still that are completely asleep at the wheel when it comes to their local SEO, local business profile, pay-per-click, website quality, etc. So it gives you a competitive advantage because very few other people are doing it, right? It allows you to scale and reach areas outside of your local footprint. A lot of people don't realize this, and this is the truth. You really have a 3 to 7 mile radius around your physical location, your Google business profile, until another competitor is going to show up. So if again, this goes back to location-based searching. People search from your hometown, you're very likely to show up number one in the map pack. You're going to show up, number one or number two in local search. If you go 10 miles down the road and search, Google is very likely to show another insurance agency, right? Because now you're closer to that agency than you might be to your own insurance agency. So SEO, local SEO, has a very localized footprint. A lot of people say to us, well, Chris, why do you have our city name like all over our website? Like, we're licensed the entire state of Florida. Why do you just have, Tampa, Florida Insurance Agency? And the answer is because you're located in Tampa. You need to tell Google what you do and where you do it. If you're too broad, now you're trying to rank for the keyword insurance agency in Florida. You think that's easier or harder to rank for than Tampa Insurance Agency? It's way harder because it's much more of a broad keyword. You put yourself into that sandbox, now you're going to be at the bottom of page 2 because you're competing with, the big brands for that keyword. So you want to be localized with your SEO and use ads to go outside of that 3 to 7 mile footprint. So now if going back to this Houston versus Dallas thing, and by the way, I'm from Philadelphia, I'm just using those towns as examples. If you're in Houston, you can run an ad that shows in Dallas. So it gives you the ability to expand your digital footprint into locations that you would otherwise have no presence in because of the location-based searching and with local SEO. So it gives you the ability to expand your footprint. It also gives you the ability to target more finite keywords. So I have people that come to me all the time and they're like, Chris, we want to get high value or high net worth prospects. Don't we all, right? If there was a way for me to hand deliver you guys high net worth clients, you wouldn't even know who I was. I would be so rich that I wouldn't be on this webinar. I'd be driving around in a Lamborghini. It's not as easy as you think to target stuff like that. And it's definitely not easy from an SEO perspective. And why that is because high net worth people are not typing into Google high net worth insurance. They don't even know it's a thing. They're typing in the same searches as the guy with the $100,000 townhouse. They're typing in like insurance agency near me, insurance agent. When you look at the keyword volume for high net worth, it's very low. There's not that many people searching for it. But with PPC, what you can do is you could literally go in and target areas that are high net worth zip codes or counties, right? And you also have the ability to exclude certain areas. So like we have a client in Georgia. They're right outside of Atlanta. He wants most of the northern part of Georgia, but he does not want anything south of Atlanta. Well, we have the ability to exclude the ad from running in the Atlanta area. So you have more control over where your digital presence can be found versus SEO, right? You have no control over who finds you, right? We have people that say, Chris, the website is awesome, but like we keep getting these people that are like price shopping their auto insurance. I have no control over that. Your website can't control that. I can't control who searches for what in Google. But with Google Ads, you have a little bit more ability to target certain keywords and maybe exclude certain locations so that your money is flowing to the right areas, if that makes sense. And lastly, it's great for local brick and mortar type businesses, again, because Google is based on local search, right? If you want to show up in a local search, you have to have your Google business profile set up correctly. You got to have a strong website. And if you run Google Ads, and I'll show you guys in just a few minutes, a couple of different ad types, because there's a million different ad types that you can run in Google. Some things that you could do yourself to maybe get a little bit of a head start. I'm going to just minimize this real quick so I can go into my browser. So here's Google Ads. I'm going to log into my ad account, go to my manager account, and I'm just gonna go into an account real quick. I'm gonna show you how to do proper keyword research. So if some of you guys decide that you wanna go in and run some ads, I'm gonna show you a live client account. You go to tools and settings, and I'm gonna go to the keyword planner tool. So anytime you run a Google ad, you wanna get an idea for what the search volume is. So ranking number 1 in Google for a keyword that nobody is searching for is kind of pointless, right? You're not gonna get a lot of traffic from that. You want to look at the volume so that you can get an idea of how many leads and how much volume might I get from this campaign. And this is something that a lot of people don't do. I've had people come to us and they're like, we want to run ads for, wedding insurance. Okay, no problem. Let's look at the volume. And I'll use that as an example in this search. So I'm going to go to wedding insurance and I'm going to click on get results. And what this will do is it will show you, let me expand my screen again. And I'm going to zoom in real quick. So what this will show you is, here's US, right? We're looking at this keyword in the entire country. It's going to show you what the average monthly searches are for these different keywords. Wedding insurance has about 12,000 monthly searches in the US. That's a 22% year over year change, which is actually a good thing. This keyword used to not get nearly this much volume, so it seems to be getting a little bit more volume compared to last year. But let's say that you live in Florida and you only want your ads to run in Florida. I'm going to go ahead and type in Florida and click target, and I'm going to remove the United States, and now I'm going to click on save. So you can see now that the number is way lower. It's a fraction of the total number. 590 monthly searches in the grand scheme of things is not a lot of search volume, right? When someone searches for this keyword in Florida, they're going to probably see some organic results. They're going to see some websites. They might see websites like the knot.com, wedding planner sites. They might see some ads. So the traffic is going to be divvied up, right, between the top 3 or 4 results. So this is one thing before you ever run an ad, yet you need to look at this so that you have an idea in your head, what type of volume can I expect from this and what am I going to pay? You can see over here, top of page bid, $4.43. That's the low range. Top of page bid, high range is $9.10. Okay, this is what it would cost per click in this ad auction for this keyword in this location. So understand another thing is that a click is not a lead, right? A click is somebody clicking the ad. They're going to go to a page on your website or a landing page. I'll talk about that more in just a second as well, because that's a very important component with all this. But you're going to pay, in between $4 and $10 a click. So someone would come to me and say, I want to run these ads for wedding insurance. Like what should I budget for this campaign? Well, let's say your budget is $50 a day. So I'm gonna just times that by 30. That's a $1,500 a month budget. Some people might be like, wow, I'm not willing to spend that much, but I'm gonna use that number for the example. So if your budget's $50 a day, and on the high end, the click is costing you $9.10, you just do some simple math, right? At best case scenario, well, let's say worst case scenario, if the keyword is actually $9, you're going to get hopefully 5 clicks per day. That's if you're at the top of the page and you're getting 100% of the clicks, right? A best case scenario is 50 divided by $4.43. That's 11 clicks a day. That's a best case scenario for the budget. The other thing you have to look at is, what is your average profit per wedding insurance lead? obviously anyone that's selling wedding insurance is not selling wedding insurance for the wedding insurance commission of whatever, $30. It's like selling a renter's policy or something, right? You're selling wedding insurance to cross-sell them into personal lines, life insurance, maybe financial products, etc. So you're going to look at your commission. Let's say you sell the wedding plan, you get them into home and auto. Let's say your commission is $400 first year's commission for that particular person. Let's say you retain them for 5 years, right? So now you're going to make $2,000 per household if you sell a wedding plan, assuming you're cross-selling into home and auto. Well, $2,000, you need to know that number because you need to know what your margins are going to be when you go in to set your budget and bid on these different keywords, right? If I know for a fact that I'm making $2,000 a customer and my monthly budget is $1,500, if I get one customer, I'm gonna break even on my ad cost for that month, and then some, probably, right? We're not counting the referrals. We're not counting the fact that you might retain them for more than 5 years. But you need to know what your numbers are before you ever advertise, because otherwise you're not going to really be able to calculate ROI, and you're not going to really be able to forecast like what you're spending. So a lot of people freak out when we tell them, hey, you need to have a $3,000 a month budget. They're like, oh my God, $3,000. That's crazy. Well, it's not that crazy, because if you make $3,000 from one customer and you're getting 30 to 50 clicks a month, and you can convert 4 or 5 of them into customers, at that point, $3,000 is like a drop in the bucket, right? Now, there's a lot of things that need to make that work correctly, but I just wanted to more or less show you how to do keyword research the right way. So let's go back in and change the keyword. I'm going to go to home insurance. And this is probably a weird example because those of you that might be in Florida, I don't have to tell you that the home insurance market in Florida is just weird. But I'm going to just use this as a keyword because this is a keyword that we bid on quite frequently with clients because it has a lower cost per click than auto insurance keywords. So we'll click on get results. And we can see that in the state of Florida, it went from 590 monthly searches to 8,100 searches. So this is pretty good volume, right? Even if you're one of 50 advertisers for this keyword in the auction, you're still probably going to get some decent traction from this, right? Because it's 8,100 a month. Keyword low bid $7.38, top of page bid $25.41. So you can see here that the top of page bid is competitive. If you have $100 a day budget, your worst case scenario is 4 clicks because it's 25 a click. So that's one overarching thing that I think is important to understand is like you can't really you're either in or you're out with Google Ads, right? If you go into it with like a mindset of I'm just going to go in and try this out. I'm going to put $500 monthly cap on my budget and I'm going to see what happens in the next 30 days. You're almost always going to lose in that situation. The biggest reason why is because your ad account needs data, and you need to see what the data looks like so that you can actually optimize the campaign. And this is like if you're doing this all yourself. I'm talking to you like you're doing this yourself, but there's a lot that goes into running a successful campaign, and usually you need a higher budget than you think. Most keywords are going to be, for insurance anyway, they're going to be in the neighborhood of like $5 to $40 a click. I'll show you another one. Let's say you're commercial. You want to look at workers' comp. I'm just typing in a couple broad keywords here. Let's look at what that looks like in Florida. For those exact keywords, 720 and 90. So this is getting virtually no traffic. This is getting, not great traffic. Now look at the cost per click. Now it's $112 per click on the high end. So when you go into a brand new ad account, you start running ads, until you get data in your account, until you can optimize and manage your bidding, your keywords are going to cost on the higher end, right? Your ultimate goal is to run the campaigns long enough and let Google's learning system help you optimize the campaign so that you can get your cost per click lower. And there's a lot of ways to do that, and that's the other thing too, is like I told Kenzie this, like this could be like a multi-part webinar series of like 30 different Zoom meetings, because there's just so much to unwrap with Google Ads. But more so want to kind of show you how to at least help you formulate a budget. The next thing I want to show you is ad campaign types. So let's look at a campaign. I'm going to click add new. I'm going to click new campaign. One thing to understand about Google is that I don't want to say they want to trick you, but they are trying to push all advertisers towards an auto bidding environment. They want to handle the bidding, the auction stuff. They try to hide things from you if you want to really have a lot of control yourself. And this is where a lot of new advertisers, business owners can really make a lot of mistakes. If you listen to Google's recommendations, you can blow a lot of money very quickly and just set things up the wrong way. We see a lot of our campaigns and Google will make a recommendation of raise the budget to get more traffic. Of course they want you to raise the budget. They want to make more money. That's how Google makes money. It's from selling ads. So what we do when we set up campaigns for customers, we don't listen to 90% of their suggestions. We do things sort of our way, and we do it a more manual way because it gives us way more control over the budgeting and bidding. When you're dealing with someone else's money, you have to be very careful about how you manage the budget, and that's kind of why I bring that up. So choose your objective. I'm gonna choose no guidance or anything. I don't want their AI or I don't want them interfering with what I'm trying to do. So I'm gonna click no goal guidance. Campaign type. These are the different campaign types that you have right now. Search is what you're gonna do 99.9% of the time. Display is display ads. So like literally like a display ad that you see if you're like looking at, like, you go to Dick's Sporting Goods, you're looking for golf clubs, and then you go to 5 other websites and you see pictures of golf clubs showing up on their websites. Those are display campaigns. Shopping, this is for like e-com. This doesn't really apply. Video is YouTube ads. Smart is a campaign that we also use when we set up campaigns for clients. It's almost always a search campaign or a smart campaign. Let's do a search campaign. It's going to ask us what conversion goals we want. I'm not even going to mess with these right now. We can come back to that later. Again, same thing. What results do you want to get from the campaign? I'm not touching any of this. I don't want them to know, what I'm doing. I'm going to figure this all out myself. Conversions. See, this is one area where you can really get in trouble. I'm getting this more advanced stuff as we kind of go through this, but I want to do that because I want you to understand all the stuff that goes into setting these up correctly and not just give you a high level overview. But this is one example. We run manual CPC for our client campaigns almost 100% of the time, but notice that you can't even choose that from this menu. So Google wants you to bid based on conversions, conversion value, clicks, or impression share. Most people don't know what the difference is between these, and I could explain it to you another time, but I'm going to start off by saying clicks, and we can set a max cost per click. This is irrelevant because I'm going to actually change the bidding later. So I'm going to click on next. This is another hang up, right? Google is saying, where do you want your ads to run? I don't want my ad running in the display network, and I don't want it running into the search network. I only want traffic from actual Google search searches. I don't want Google search partners, like third-party search sites, like whatever, Yahoo and like these other like weird, like traffic clickbait sites. And I don't want my ad showing in the Google Display Network. That's going to drain my budget, and I just don't want that. This is where you pick locations. So let's say that you're located in Dallas. I'm just going to keep using that as an example. I'm going to target Dallas, and I'm also going to exclude all other states. I'm not going to do that in this example because it's going to take extra time to do, but I want to include where I want the ad to go, and I want to exclude everything else. Why? Because Google's targeting is not perfect. So if I go into this and I say I only want to target this area right here, Dallas, Texas, I still might get search traffic from Fort Worth or Thackerville or Sherman or some of these other neighboring locations. And that's because their targeting is not 100% accurate. So I'm going to go in here and type in like, let's just say Alabama. You can actually exclude, and what we do is we have a list of all states. We just paste the list in and exclude these in bulk. I'll just click save. I want people that are regularly in my targeted location, and I want English. Now, this depends on your agency, right? Some people want English, Spanish, depends on your client demographic. That's really up to you, but you should at least have English in here. Broad match keywords, another thing. We don't really ever want to mess with broad match, and this is kind of hard to explain, but broad match, let me give you an example. Let's say I want to run an ad for wedding insurance. If I use a broad match a broad match for the keyword wedding insurance, my ad might show if someone types in the word wedding or insurance. I don't want that. I only want my ad to show if somebody puts in wedding insurance, because I want an accurate, high intent searcher. Broad match will definitely help drain your budget. I can talk about this in a second. Automatically created assets. I can explain this later, but I would turn this on, and then you have some other stuff. This stuff I usually don't touch. Click on next. And then this is basically where you add in your keywords. So create it myself. See how Google's trying to like take over at every step of this process? So let's say I want to run wedding insurance. I'm going to type that keyword in. I'm going to use these little apostrophes here because this is what gives me a phrase match keyword. Again, it would take me a little bit to explain the differences, but you either want to use phrase match or you want to use exact match. Exact match is this. Brackets. You might also want to put wedding insurance cost. You want to put some related keywords, right? Maybe I want my ad to trigger if somebody types in wedding planner, because if they're searching for a wedding planner, it's because they're going to get married at some point. So these are my keywords. I got 3 phrase match, 3 exact match. And then this is where you go into writing your ad. And I'm going to kind of stop here because it takes a little bit to actually get this set up properly and finalized. But bottom line is, you have your final URL. This is where the ad's going to click to. So like your landing page, you want to make sure that that's created ahead of time. It needs to look good on mobile. It needs to be fast. And you also need to make sure that you have a short form. I know from talking to a lot of agents, they want these long-winded forms, and they say, Chris, if they're not willing to give me their license numbers and their VINs and all this other stuff, I don't want them as a customer. Well, that's a bad mindset, because most people don't want to put their personal information into a form like that. So make your form short, get the rest of the information later. You're trying to generate a lead at this point. You're not trying to, yes, you are trying to generate a customer, but trust me, when you're buying ads, when you're bidding on keywords, You don't want there to be any friction in the process, and that means keeping your form short. The form also needs to redirect to a thank you page where your conversion tracking snippet is installed. That's so that you can attribute that form fill to your ad campaign. So as you can see, and again, I'm not trying to freak you guys out, there's a lot of things that go into creating a really good campaign. And then, the other part of it is you have to be patient, right? You can't run an ad for a month and judge the effectiveness of the ad after 1 month. It might take a month for your account to build up the necessary data for you to actually optimize the account. So you have to be patient with Google Ads. You have to, we tell people all the time, in fact, we don't even have a monthly billing anymore. We tell people, look, unless you're willing to do this for at least 6 months to a year, like we can't help you, because you need to give it time, and it's not for everybody. If you don't have a budget, that's okay. It's not for everybody. It's you have to have some money to put into it. I say this to people all the time, and I have this app on my phone. You guys probably, some of you might have it on your phone too. It's called DraftKings. And I don't know if any of you are sports fans here, but I'm a sports junkie, and me and my neighbors, we have some fun on the weekends, and we'll bet on a couple games, friendly wagers. But that's kind of like what Google Ads is sometimes. It's kind of like going into a casino with $500. I'm just using that as a fictional number, and there's going to be days where you walk out of the casino with, $10,000, and there's going to be days where you walk out with $0. And that's in some ways kind of like what Google Ads is. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be different advertisers that are coming into the auction, so the cost per click is going to change. It's a full-time job to really manage an effective campaign and see results. We've had people that have come to us, and this is back when we did have a monthly option, and they tried out and they just had no pain threshold at all. After a month, they'd be wanting to turn everything off because they were not seeing enough leads come in for what they thought was a good budget. If you're going into it with a $300 a month budget, it's just not going to be enough, right? The keywords that you see the keywords, what the actual cost per click can be. You need to go into it with at least a $1,500 a month budget to really see results. So it's a commitment financially. It's a commitment with time as well. That's not to say that you're not going to get leads for, that you absolutely have to have $1,500. You might get some traffic with a lower budget, but you just have to know what to expect going into it. The other thing too that I kind of want to mention is, I see this happen a lot. Don't spend any money on advertising if you are not good at sales. Don't run Google ads. Don't run Facebook ads. Don't send out mailers. And this is some tough love, right? Because I see this a lot. If you're not good at sales, or your team is not good at sales, you don't have a dedicated person to handle incoming opportunities, do not run Google ads, because unless you're ready to follow up at a moment's notice, and that's cold traffic for you, right? It's not a warm referral where you might have 2 or 3 days of lead time to reach out to them. It's somebody that's in the moment searching in Google for a solution. So closing an online lead like that is a very different process than closing a warm referral who they may or may not already know who you are, right? So I say that in the nicest possible way. I know some agencies, it's a one-man show or a two-man show. They just don't have the bandwidth to be able to get on a phone call or follow up people right away. We always tell people, if you don't have a CRM that you're using, and I know that's a big topic in Kenzie's group, is agency Zoom and automation and like having all that wired up correctly. That is critical if you run Google Ads, because if you're not physically able to follow up yourself, you need to have text messages going out to these folks. You need to have emails. You need to have a follow-up system in place that can do some of it for you if you're not physically able to do it yourself. So back to this real quick, and then we'll do some Q&A, because it's about 12:45 my time. Why you shouldn't do this yourself. And this is not to say that you can't or never should try to do this yourself. But here's why I would say people should not do this. If you don't know what you don't know about Google's recommendations, you are going to probably fail at this, right? Because they want to push you to, like I said, automated bidding. They want to automate everything so that you stop paying attention to it, and they just collect money month after month. Knowing keyword volume in the ad auction, you don't want to go into this unless you understand how to do keyword research. I kind of gave you some hints at that earlier with using Google's own keyword planner tool. If you are not good, or you don't have somebody that can build you a really good landing page and create the form, set up your remarketing pixel, set up the conversion tracking, set up Google Analytics to make sure Google Analytics is connected to your ad account. There's a lot of technical back-end setup before you ever create the actual ad campaign that needs to be in place, or else it will fail. Writing effective ad copy. People struggle with this. Small business owners, especially insurance, and this is not this is no slight to an insurance agency. I was an insurance agent myself. You live in a very left brain world, right? You're dealing with numbers. You're dealing with, you're dealing with insurance. You're not necessarily always in a creative mindset to be able to write out effective ad copy. People struggle with this big time. They just don't know the words to write out in their ads. Oh, Chris, what do I write? It's very difficult for people sometimes to wrap their mind around that. And the other reason is it requires constant monitoring and tweaking the campaigns. It's not a set it and forget it type of thing. It's something that you have to look at least once a week, if not more. And again, it depends on what your budget is. I kind of view myself almost in some respects as a financial advisor. If a client comes to me and their budget is $300 a month, there's not much monitoring that I can really do. There's not really a ton of optimization that I can really do with that amount, which is why I would usually tell them, like, don't even hire us, because you're going to pay us more for the service than you are for your actual ad campaign. But you come to me with a $3,000 a month budget, I'm going to have to look at that way more, right? Because I'm trying to optimize and really, I have something to work with. So it's like a financial advisor. You go to them with a $30 check, they can invest it, but they can't really help you a lot, right? Because it's just a low amount of money. What not to do with Google Ads. Kind of touched on a couple of these as we kind of went through this. We talk to agents all the time. They have marketing reimbursement money from a carrier that they want to spend on something. It's burning a hole in their pocket. I want to try out Google Ads, for a couple months. I got, $1,000 to try. That's the wrong mindset. Again, if you're not willing to do it for at least 6 months and really commit to it, it's not going to work. The other thing is, you don't want to create a campaign that's high competition, high volume with a very low budget. We've seen a lot of people try to build their own campaigns, and this is the number one mistake. They're bidding on auto insurance quotes as a keyword. They have a $5 daily budget. The cost per click for that keyword is like $12. You're not going to even get one click per day. So the campaign just stalls. It's like running in quicksand. The number one mistake. The number two mistake is creating a campaign and not paying attention to the keyword volume. So like wedding insurance, for example, you're not going to get a lot of leads from that because there's not enough people in the grand scheme of things searching for that in Google. So bidding on a low volume keyword with a low budget, number two mistake. Stay away from automation. You got to understand how to build the campaigns yourself manually with manual bidding or you will most likely drain your budget. There's a new campaign type that's called Performance Max. There's a lot of marketing companies and people that are saying it's like the bee's knees. It's been very up and down. I would not recommend that. It's a very auto bidding type strategy. Broad match keywords, that's another thing. Stay away from broad match. Not being ready to follow up or pick up the phone. Like I said before, a CRM is like 100% necessary if you're going to run ads. In kind of in closing, I don't mean to scare you away or any of that. I just want to paint a very accurate depiction of what it is. It does. Google Ads do work, but it's like anything else, right? You're going to get out of it what you put into it, and you need to have someone that knows how to set it up correctly, manage it. Again, the landing page, the forms, like that, somebody that can build all of those components out for you, so that you can actually sell insurance, if that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions? Like I said, Kenzie, maybe we do a follow-up to this if there's like a demand for it, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't touch on. It's just a matter of having enough time to do it. But if there's enough demand for it, I'm happy to do like a part 2 and, maybe deep dive a little bit more depending on, what people think.
Yeah, for sure. You did a great job. I think the key thing that I'm taking away from it is I need to hire a professional. Like that's kind of with a lot of different things in tech. If you don't have somebody that really knows that particular topic and they're an expert in that particular topic, you're really kind of throwing your money away, and you might as well just save your money. Yeah, I've made that mistake with Facebook before. I've run a Facebook ad not knowing what the hell I was doing and threw away a significant amount of money, and it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's tough, and because of how these ad platforms change all the time, and a lot of you probably know, like you go into Facebook and something looks different, and it's like next week something looks different. Like they're changing the platform all the time. They're changing bidding strategies, and like they're taking data away from advertisers. They want everything to be more broad, and so you really need like an advocate or professional to go in. And that's no pitch for me, honestly. Like we turn away probably more people than we take on these days, just for whatever reason. They don't have the staff, or they don't have the budget or whatever. But it's definitely something that you can figure out how to do on your own. It's just a lot of trial and error, and quite frankly, most businesses they don't have the time for all that, and they don't have the budget to just burn, so.
What would you say your sweet spot is for an agency's size and budget?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, with Google Ads, I kind of go back to the financial advisory, analogy. The more money you have to invest, the more you're going to make from that money. That kind of carries true with Google Ads. I would say the sweet spot is an agency that's already established, right? Like this is not going to be a scratch agent that doesn't have revenue yet, but an established agency, let's say 5 to 20 person agency, they have revenue on the books, they have a marketing budget, and maybe they're already relatively successful with referral partners, realtors, lenders, etc. And what they're really trying to do is they come to us and say, Chris, we're getting 20, 30, 40 leads a month from referrals. We have money now. We want to just completely choke out these other 5 independent agents in our market online. That's the typical client that we work with, is like people that, they have some revenue, disposable marketing revenue, because again, all of their money thus far it's free business, because it's all referrals, or maybe not 100% free, right? You're going to wine and dine your referral partners, but most of their incoming business they got for nothing. They had no acquisition cost, so now they can afford to play a little bit on the digital side of things. But you really, like I said earlier, you really have to have at least a $1,500 a month budget if you're bidding on insurance-based keywords. That might not be the case in other like verticals or other industries, but Insurance, the keywords are going to be, if you're lucky, $5 a click. And with a $50 a day budget, which is, whatever, that's not, over the course of a month, you can see very quickly like how that could be spent depending on what keywords you're bidding on. So you definitely, you have to have some revenue that you could, potentially, like I said, the DraftKings app, I don't bet a lot when I bet. I just do it for fun, but there's been a lot of times where I lost money. You put $20 into the machine and you get nothing back. And you need to be able to do that in the world of advertising. And that's not just marketing, digital, Google ads and whatnot, but there's going to be times when you advertise where you don't get an immediate ROI, and you just have to have the discipline and patience to understand that it's a long game, and it requires some patience.
I think too, a lot of agents are wasting money on these lead companies. They'll be spending $3,000 a month for leads that are garbage and have no idea that they're not performing. So what would you say are the top things that people need to have in place before they even get to the point of coming to hire you?
Yeah, great question. It's a great question. So number one, you definitely have to have a CRM. It doesn't matter, honestly. Like, I know agency Zoom is very popular. Even if it's like, whatever, something that can send text messages out to an incoming lead. SMS is, has the highest open rate of any other type of communication medium. So something that can send follow-up messages over the course of 2 weeks, because you're going to need to follow up with people. They're not going to respond right away. It might take 7 to 10 touches for them to say, hey, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I've been working overtime. My renewal's coming up. Let's get on a call real quick. Like, don't give up too early with cold traffic, because it can take longer to make contact. The second thing is, the hope is that you have someone in your agency, maybe it's you, or maybe it's a producer that, if need be, can get on a phone call with these people. The phone is still the best sales weapon in existence, right? These text messages are going to get them on the phone. The phone is what's going to turn them into a customer. That's the end step, or the end phase, right, of any sale, right? Is like, you're going to have to close these sales, because it's not a sale. You're bidding on clicks. But CRM, motivated salesperson, and then obviously, like, once they get in the door, this is probably the most important thing that I can tell you. I talked to you earlier about like revenue per customer, and let's say it is $2,000, because $400 in commission over 5 years. I don't want you to look at it as $2,000. I want you to view every customer as $10,000 in revenue. How can I get to $10,000 in revenue from this new customer? And that's from referrals. So how can I get 3 to 5 referrals from every new customer? Now your revenue per customer is 10 grand. Now it's like a money print machine. You can go into Google now and spend 5 grand a month, because now you have the revenue to do it. So CRM, someone that's good at sales, and a really good back-end process for cross-selling and referral generation from that new customer. That's the machine right there. You can get that down, you will dominate most other, competitor agencies in your market.
That's awesome. I appreciate all the info. Chris, I do have a call at the top of the hour.
Yep,
Does anybody have any last minute questions? Feel free to just unmute yourself and chime in, because we didn't really give you guys enough time, and Chris is available too.
It's my fault. I get fired up about this stuff, so I tend to go. I tend to like go a little bit longer. I think I just put my email in chat.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that went to everybody, but anybody on the call has a question, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm not going to lie, I probably won't respond today, just because I do have a couple things out going on after this call as well. But feel free to hit me up if you guys have questions. I'm happy to respond back, or comment on the Facebook group post for this event.
Yeah.
And I can drop an answer in there as well. So
thank you guys
for those jumping on.
For those that are listening to the recording, his email address is chris@advisorevolved.com. and he has an incredible business. A part of his services are obviously Google Ads, but he also does website development. So if anybody needs to update their website and get a good person that really does have a proven track record, Chris is your guy. Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Chris, for all the free info. And thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you guys. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now.